Okay. So today we'll continue to
Java is also used for game making
yes,
games.
yeah.
You can do everything.
Almost every
Yeah.
place is the Java language used, you can say.
Huh?
Nowadays.
Which one?
Java language are used almost everywhere, you can say.
Yeah, yeah.
Mobile development, game development, application
Everything.
development,
Yeah.
backend development, financial market development, any kind of application you can say.
Yeah. Okay.
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 So today we'll still continue to exploring the syntax and semantics uh, in a class, right?
Right.
So let us write one class, write a table. Okay. Last we discuss. Okay. And maybe uh, we discuss one class can have some field variable like here length,
Right.
okay, and width and the height, okay,
Right.
okay, and this is the minimum the class we written, right?
Right.
And here we say someone can the main method go can create the table object, right? Equal to new, okay, new table, right?
Right.
So if someone want really this table created logically as a Java compiler say, oh, it's table created. And if you check our table dot what is the length, right? So you notice our table have a length by default would be 0, right? So really table in the real world, no table exists the length like 0, right?
Right.
This does not make sense, right? So we have to ensure something whenever someone going to table create, they have to specify some length, some width, some height, right? So for that we discuss like think constructor, right? We have to going to create constructor. Constructor is the same like a block which is a name as a table name, class name itself, right? This
Right.
is the one block where we can write some code but name as a same as a your, right?
Right.
So whenever this class invoke by default, this is your constructor invoke. You notice this is if you have a write one block give a name like same as a class name. This is known as a constructor, and this is known as a default argument constructor, right? Default constructor, right?
Right.
Default constructor means by default this constructor invoke. Whenever I'm going to create a new table, this
Mm.
constructor invoke. Okay. So this constructor is invoke, right? Default constructor invoke call, right?
Right.
But it not enforce while creating table object cannot set zero value, right? We have to pass something, right? Length with,
Right.
right? So I say, so let's say I write another constructor. So I write, so in the Java you can write many number of constructor, right? But
Okay.
constructor have a some different here. This is the also constructor, this is also constructor, but here compiler confuse. I am going to call this line or this line, both are the same syntax, right?
Right.
Whenever I say new table, the compiler here confused. I am going to call this one or this one. So compiler say it is not valuable valid syntax. You can create multiple constructor but some make differences, so that whenever in the main method I'm going to create object, you have to distinguish, right? So here I can pass like a integer length, okay, something. So now you change the input parameter. Here the no argument, here say one argument constructor, right?
Right.
So this is the not a default, this is the one arg constructor, right? One argument, one argument constructor. So here, whenever I am run here, now still compiler happy you are able to create the one argument constructor. But here I'm passing default, so they are using default. But I want restrictions. Anyone going to create table, they do not they do not create object with the default constructor, because in our this table class these things must needed, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not very happy compiler allow to anyone can create this table object with the default argument, not passing anything, right?
Right.
So we have give some restriction, right?
Right.
So this is restriction is that you can make as a private. So this is known as a access modifier. Notice here we are not writing the like public, right? Similarly, there is a some access modifier in our application which help us to restrict. So notice now here compiler is not happy. Compiler say table argument is a private access. Anything private cannot access outside of the method, right? So here
Right.
you say in this class, this is the private. Private means this is only for this class, right? No, any other one can access it, right? So private means the where particular thing declare this is only accessible within a class. Outside of class, this constructor cannot be accessed. The first we have applied restriction कि now my table class no one going to create the object with a default like this way. Compiler is not allowed. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So, but I want our table object should be created with some value, right? So I say this is let's say I pass length like a 10, okay, 20 length. Okay. So here one argument constructor call, and here I say ki let's keep whatever the length, whatever the value pass I assign. Same if we have one argument, same let's keep width also the same. So because we have only one value, the what best option can be let's keep I am say width also the same. Okay, and
Now
height also is the same.
you put L equal to sorry, length equal to L.
Yes,
So you are assigning value of
right,
L into length,
right,
but
correct.
you are not declaring inside the method.
Not. So here already we have this three instance variable.
Okay.
Ali we have three variable
So
because
okay, so that will make
I know whenever someone going to create table, this thing must need a right. This
right,
table
right.
class must need a some length, right? Must need a some width and also need a some kind of height, right?
Hmm.
Right? So due to that, while class design, I'm thinking this property this field must be right.
Right.
So whenever
Oh,
someone going to create object, they have passed three. So one option,
okay,
let's
got
say
it.
I pass 20, and let's assume 20 is the for length, 20 is the width, 20 is the height.
Got it. Got it.
So at least now we are in position to create object with have a some length, right? Notice we have a some length, right? If you check like similarly, what is the width? Width. What is the height?
Same number, 20.
Yes, because while creating constructor, you pass only one argument, right?
Right.
Our com- code say no. I'm whatever you pass one number. Let's I assume I'm a same length, same height, same width, same L sign, right?
Right.
So this is the, but I want key user want no. I want if you run this, our table length, height, width all are the same, right?
Right.
So customer let's look this say oh ho it's not I don't want I want to width should be different, right? Width should be different, right?
Right.
So question is ki how where I can pass. how user say कि नहीं 20 is my length, width would be 5, right? So user have only this place, here they can pass something, right?
Right.
Like here, like width I want to like a 5, right? But in our table class, there is no such constructor. Till now, we have only defined two constructor, one default, one is the one argument, right? That means ki I need one more constructor that take a two parameter, right? That take a to two parameter. One is the length, another is the width, right?
Right.
And whatever the length I assign length, whatever the width I assign the width, right?
Right.
This is the two argument constructor, right? Default one argument, two argument. Compiler now be clear. This is the table is the one constructor, another table with one argument, another constructor, different argument, right? So now
Right.
compiler is clear. Okay, now here you can pass length and width both, right? So if you run, you notice at least now we are able to change our length and width, right?
And the way you pass the value is from
Hmm.
the object.
Uh, While creating object, we have option. You cannot pass anything, compiler is not happy because while designing class blueprint, I am declare this should be private. Means I want no one going to create the table object with the default argument, right? So
Right.
compiler is not happy, right? That means you have to pass something. So customer have a two option. They can pass one argument or they can pass a two argument, right? Because you have a
Mm.
two constructor. So I pass here only one constructor like a 10. So all your object one created, right?
Right.
Let's another object two. So here we have an answer. Now we can create surely. This is the way default we cannot create, right? Because as a class designer say you cannot create object like a table default because we mentioned this is the private.
Right.
This is the private. You cannot create object like that. So these are the not allowed, right? This is not allow, right? Due to default constructor is private. ठीक है? So now we have a two option. You can create table object using this argument or one argument or two argument. So we have a two option. If you create one argument, this means your length, width, height all are the same, right? This should be height. So now you can create one table object with only one input parameter 10. So all are the 10 10, right? Length with height. But now decide no, I length would be 20, height should be 5, right? So now here notice here second object we create with a 20 and 5. Someone can also enter no our high. If you notice output, our output what we see in the second parameter same length as a height, right? Whatever
Right.
the length I assign to the length and same length I assign to the height as well. So here the 20 20 same, right? But some user want no our height can be also different. I want to more height, right? Not the just like a length. So you customer say, I want another way to create object my height with length. I want to let's go 30, right? But here you can not create because the table as a class as a blueprint is not given such constructor, right? So you cannot do here. If as a table class designer expected no someone can create with a three argument constructor, so they can write another constructor like a length width and height, right? And here they can set a height. So this is the three argumented, right?
Right.
So In short, you can say Java provide flexibility while creating object. You have option. You can take the your input variable whatever you want, one argument, two argument, three argument, right?
Right.
So till now we have studied how to create object. Okay, for creating an object you want some input parameter while creating an object. That means the place is the constructor. Constructor is the same as one block, one block of code with the name is the same as a class name, right? And here we have option. You can define any number of constructor. Maybe default argument means zero argument, one argument, two argument, three argument, four argument, any number of whatever you want, right? As per
Right.
your need, right? So this concept known as a constructor overloading. Overloading means you are using same name but different behavior. One argument, two argument, three argument, right? That means
So
constructor can be overloaded,
oh, that's called overloading.
right? So this is known as sometimes constructor overloading.
So I noticed that if you want to print
Huh,
height or width
huh,
from any of those table with two parameter, let's
right.
say table with two parameter.
Huh.
Uh, you remember we used to do the exercise in our first class. Either we do S out or we return something. But here
So,
you
yeah,
just
here
type.
in the constructor you cannot return any value. This is the major difference. This is not a method. Constructor is not a method. They cannot return any value.
Okay, okay,
This,
okay. I see.
here we're not returning any value, right? You're not clear in the return keyword, right? So
So this
this
is
is the
not a method.
constructor is just a place where you, while as a object creation creator can decide ki what input I want initial value, right? Of the length with height in our case, right?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's good.
So till now, today we learn we can create object of a class with a different constructor, right? Like a
Right,
default constructor, one argumented, two argumented, three argumented. And
right,
even we learn some constructor I don't want anyone access. So I can mark as a private, right?
right,
So anyone cannot create. If I remove this private, if I remove this private, that means someone can go create the object like this, right? This
right,
allow. But I in this case, our table I never want should be zero length, zero height, right? So I say this should be always private, right? This is the our who are going to write that tech decision, right? Correct? So next things. Till now, it's any doubt, any question? How we create the object of any class? Multiple way we can create with the default argument, with the one argument, with the two argument, with the three argument. This is only feasible because while the class designer, while writing class, we have written this constructor, constructor one, constructor two, constructor three, right? Then we can create. If there is no constructor, there is no constructor here, no constructor, you cannot write like this, right? Compiler is not happy. Compiler don't know there is no any one argument constructor, right? There is no any two argument constructor. So all the things you can create the object of class which your while writing class you have decide. So you have decided no, I have this constructor, one argumented, two argumented, three argument, right?
right.
Then someone going to create object like this, one argument, two argument, three argument. Is it okay? Any
Yes,
question with this constructor part?
yes. Okay. So the last example you showed, that's a three argument constructor.
Right,
The previous one is a two. So
right.
when you type, so because all constructor have same name, the way you identify is
Is the
number of parameter. That's how
number
you
number.
make it.
That is good observation.
Okay, okay.
Only distinguishing between this is the zero argument, one argument. This is the two argument. This is the three argument. This is the just now.
And
First,
why did we make it private?
private so that no one can create the table object with the default argument. Here,
Oh,
someone want to create the table like new default, nothing pass. That means your table is created with the zero length, zero height, zero width, right?
right.
I don't want such. So I mark as a private.
Okay, got it.
The private is a just access modifier,
Got it.
right? We'll discuss later in the one class what are the access modifier. Till now, we just assume this is the one private access modifier. That means no one can access this table outside of this class. In this
Right.
class, private member can be accessed, right?
Right.
As of now. Any other question?
No.
So till now it's okay. But what happened here? I'm not providing any access modifier. That means this can be accessed here. Notice I'm able to access length, width, right?
Right.
These are my data member, and I'm able to access outside of the class, right? This is a table. I'm here in the main method. I'm able to access all the variable, right?
Right.
So if this let's test one object, I'm able to access. That means I can test one dot. Let's say length equal to 0. I can do or not, because I'm able to access this variable here. I'm able to access a print. I'm able to access. Then I can assign some value as well as,
It's possible. Yeah.
if possible. Then what are our then problem? What is our object? Let's change here, and after that I print it, right? So, yeah, I'm getting our length. Our table length is 0. Is really valid thing. Notice initially we created three argument with a 520. Now here I said 0. So our length is again 0, right? Any table with a 0 length? Logically not, right?
Right.
So somehow I want restriction this as well as no one can change like this way, right? I don't want anyone go change my this field value, right?
Right.
So somehow in this test class I have write something which not allowed to do. Here currently compiler allow, right? Compiler know that this test have a, not any access modifier. Notice this variable don't have any access modifier, right? So here if go I mark as a private, right? So now notice compiler is not happy here. Compiler say length has a private access. Anything private, that means you cannot access outside of the test class, table
Right.
class, right? So surely we have able to restrict no one can access, right? So now you can not do it. That's good thing. But question is that then how I print? At least I want to read. You don't give me permission to changing value, but I want
Mhm.
at least you give me permission to read the value. I want to know the length, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So whenever I mark as a private, that means even you cannot read this value. Notice here compiler error. We cannot read. Even we cannot read, even we cannot write. Both are blocked.
Oh, private applies both side. You
Apply.
read,
So
so you
we
cannot
need here
access.
something like a medium between. Don't want write operation, but I want read operation. Anyone can read my length value, but don't want to change, right?
That's
So
right.
how will do it? Because if I remove this, that means we have not any control. Anyone can read, anyone can write. So we have to think what other option we have, right? What other option we have? So we can say, okay, you want to read? Yes. You don't want to write? Yes. So how will achieve? The first thing I'm going to mark as a private. Private means no one can access this variable outside of the test class. Notice this test variable can be accessed by the constructor, right? This is
Right.
in the same class, right? Same
Right.
class private data member can be accessed. So here, why not I write one method like get length, right? And return this length, because length variable can be accessed by this my method, right? Right?
Right.
So I'm saying if you want to read this, you can use this my method length. So I can use here, you can say get length, right? Get length method. Now you will read it. So currently I say you can read my method using the method, not direct parameter. So now our compiler is happy. Now you are able to read from this here,
Right. Right. So
but
instead of
you cannot write.
accessing,
Uh,
we are not accessing that length
you
variable.
can access just read mode. You are just getting the data. What is the length? But
You're
you are
just
not
getting
here
it.
like write the data. Here you cannot able to write the data. This is it still say this is the private, you cannot access, right?
Right.
So I am going to block. I am going to prevent no one going to write or change the value of my state. This is sometimes known as state of field, right? The similar behavior would be for my this and this. Someone might be going to change the your like here length. Someone can change the width, right? Width can be 0, right? Someone can set, right? Because
Right.
it is the private. So this same rule we have to apply for all. So I'm saying this should be like this all the private. So generally, whenever you are going to create any class, generally all the your field must be private. Should be private, you can say, right?
Right.
If private, then how someone outside of the class can read the value? So again, same approach. I am going to write a method for you, right? I am say
Right.
yeah, I'm going to
Uh,
write the
get
method. Let's
get
get
get with
height,
get with. Yeah.
and similarly say get width. Now I'm getting written three method, right?
Yeah.
So let's uh, about just right. So I till now I say in my class table object created. See the object you want to really read the length width, you have to invoke my method like get width, right? And height, get height.
Okay.
This is the read permission, right?
Right.
Only you can read value, right?
Right.
So this is also. So now we are able to restrict some. Okay, now we cannot allow, right? Sorry. So this is the one rule we learn about the our, right? Now properly we have to read the value, and till now we are able to create object and we are able to read the independent value, right? Whatever the here. So generally this table class have a three field: length, width, height, and these we are marked as a private. Private means this variable length, width, height only access are read by the this class itself, only this class, right? Outside of the this class, like here main method, right? Yes, sample class. This is a different class, sample, a different method. Here we cannot use this variable length, width, height. If someone want really length value, yeah, width value, height value, they can use my method. This method you can get. Is it clear?
Yeah.
But someone say, I'm created the object 2510. But later part, I want to give some modification. Let's see, I want this should be 20, not but 22. How can change? Once object created, before object creation, we have a option, we can change here, right? But now this is the object created, and after that I want to change something. Is it feasible or not? I want this length should be not 20, 22. So till now we have not any option. This main method are able to change the state of this table. Table 3 object created with the length 20. After that, we have not any option to change this value 20. If you run, length always should be 20, right?
Right.
So this can be changed or not? Because as of now, whatever you class written, this is not any method available to changing the value, right?
Right.
Because these variable are private, so no one can access here. So no any option to change the value. There is no any method, only method for the get, get. So you can only read the value. If
Right.
someone really interested, or your table class designer want, no, I want to provide such function. Anyone can change, right? So they can write method like a set length, right? Are you getting?
Yeah.
Here say give me the length, whatever the length you giving, okay? And I set my length. Whatever the use give me, I am going to assign. This is the private variable I can access, right? This class can access. So say I am going to write one method like a set length. So here someone say I am going to change your see the object 3. I am going to dot set length. I am not able to access the length variable here, but I am able to option set length, and I am so just the 22, right? So you are giving changing the value of length, but with a method, not directly. So you notice you are able to change. Now
So
initially your 20, here 22.
with set length, you
Uh,
just pass the value so that
mm,
uh, the length value become
22.
22. That's it.
But here, whenever you expose like this way, someone can again set the 20, 0, then what the benefit, right? I can
Hmm.
set 0. So this thing I don't want ki our length, any table with a 0 length? No. So what the benefit here to marking as a private and exposing segregator? So benefit is that here I can write some condition. Here say if you are passing length like less than, let's say I don't want length should be less than 5. If less than 5, okay, or I can write condition here. So I say if your length greater than 10, then I allow only, right? So this is the condition you can place. Notice someone want to set 0, still this value is not set because we have applied some restriction. Your length, notice, is still 20 and after 20, right? Because here you are trying to set 0. This function come here 0. 0 is not greater than 10. We are not changing the length, right?
Right.
So here we have option. Whenever you are providing a setter method, you can write some condition. Which value? Valid value. I want length greater than kilo and this is the condition and length always less than 100, right? This is the condition I can write here, right?
Right.
These things we cannot write directly here, right? Due to that, we are saying now we are able to restrict modification. I allow the object table length can be changed, can be modified, but with restricted access. Here we have a restriction, right? Like length only you can modify between the 10 and 100.
Right.
I want to modify like a 40. 40 come under this, your length can be updated, right? Your length is the from 20 to 40 updated, right?
Right.
But someone say let's say I want to 400 length. But our business logic say our table length cannot be this. So you cannot set, right? You have only permit 10 to 100. So notice we are not setting your 100, right? So this, that means you are able to allow anyone can change the value, but with limited restriction. Not any value can anyone set, right? Is it good?
So uh, if condition is checking if the length, the value that we are passing,
Hmm.
is it greater than 10 or less than 100? Only then.
Then we have to change.
Okay. And where is the value coming from? Can you go up?
This is here we passing set
Okay.
length.
I got
Someone
it.
can call this method. Someone call this method, right?
I got it. I got it. Hmm.
So in this way, generally, this is depend upon your class. If I am writing class, I want this value one only only outside of this class only can read. I can provide only getter method. This is known as a getter method. And someone want to set as well as, then we have to write the setter method. Like similarly, you can write the business logic for set height, right? And
Set
similarly,
height. Yeah.
you can write for the set width, right? And whatever the
What
condition you want, you can apply, right?
you put this,
Right, right. And
mm,
here, whatever the condition, business logic, you can apply here, right?
mm,
Here you want to, whatever the line you want, you can apply it, right? Here should be height, okay. And similarly, why I'm removing this, I'll later part discuss what is the meaning of this, that, right?
yeah. So this is something new.
Yeah, so I'm not discussing, okay.
Okay.
So, so due to that, here you can apply condition whatever you want, right?
Right.
Here you can apply condition, right? Whatever you want, right? Here should be your like a height, right?
Age.
You decide what height, white valid, right? Range,
Right.
right? And similarly, here you can decide your width,
They are very similar than what we did,
right? Same, just copy paste,
like
right?
in nature, but it's little like
Okay. So here now you can decide कि our length always vary from to 10 to, let's device decided, let's always vary from the 100 to 500, right?
right,
So our length always should be 100 to 500, right?
right.
And maybe uh, someone want to change the width. So with, let's at least not a greater than, someone want height can be, let's might be, I want 10 to maximum maybe 50, right? What is the business logic? And similarly width want to maybe 80, right? Whatever the condition they want, right? But surely I want, so want should be 0, right? So
So if the
either
condition doesn't match, what happens?
they are not doing they are not changing their existing value. We're not
Okay,
modifying, right? Not
okay,
modify. Not modify. Means ki whatever the previous same thing run. While creating constructor, this is the initial value, right? Same value will
right,
be preserved, right?
right.
So sometime we are writing class like this way. This is your field. Always preferable to mark as a private. And if someone want to read this value, you can give the getter method. So if you want to, someone can modify, can update the value, you can provide the setter method, right? So these are the known as a setter getter method in the, and good things, these things by default compiler generate for you, even you don't write, right? So let us go to example. I am writing one class, another class employee, right? Employ, employee, right?
Right,
And employee, let's have a employee string name, right? Employee can name, right? And employee, let's age, okay? At least this. And employee ID, right? ID. employee ID and my ID. So this is the thing. So generally we follow, this is the basic class. Compiler not enforce, but say just you write like here private preference way, right?
Right. Right.
Private, private. Okay. So now if you write this way, okay, and you want to at least whenever going to create one employee, must be one employee ID and name, age, right?
Mhm.
So you have to read a constructor. So in IntelliJ idea, you can create constructor, you can create integer. Just here, uh, click right click and option generate. Notice
Uh,
option generate, and
Generate. Yeah.
this is the generate method, right? This is the generate option, right? So here
Right.
option alt insert or whatever the option. You click here. Now we have lots of options. You can want to create constructor, select constructor, getter, setter, both, right?
Mm.
So let's want to create constructor, select constructor. You want to which field? I want to three all field, right? This field, all three field. So they create constructor for me, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And even you want, I want to generate setter getter as well, right? I can go here, create again, right click, generate, and select setter or getter both method, right? So select this. I want for all the field, I want for all the field, right? No, no, I don't. Let's okay. So now you can notice get ID, set ID, right? Get name, set name. This code automatic generated by compiler for you, right? Notice that this is
Right.
the simply generally whenever you are reading ID, ID help us to create like constructor or setter getter. And whenever ID generate by default, they mention like here public and this. I'll discuss later what they mean by this, right? As of now, just this is the syntax you can write.
So what is the function of set
Set means changing the value,
and get?
get means reading the value,
Okay. Okay.
get means read the value, set means modify the value, update the value, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm going to create the employee. So now let's create the employee E1 equal to new employee. And notice employee you cannot create because there is a no default constructor here, no default constructor. One thing notice whenever you write any I not write this constructor, right? I not write. The compiler
Right.
is happy to create the object of your employee default because this default argument constructor automatic compiler create your employee class. This is notice there is no default, right? But
Right.
still I am able to create the object of employee class right here.
Right.
But whenever you go and create the constructor, any constructor, after that your compiler is not creating default argument. So compiler expecting here you are trying to say ki create new default. The compiler not find any default argument here. If you go and read your class, this class have only one constructor, right? Employee. I have a three argument. So you can only create object using these three argument, right? There is no any other only one constructor. That means ki anyone going to create the object of employee class, they must have passed three thing, right? ID, name, age. So here I am going to, if you want to create the employee one object, you have to pass the ID. Let's key ID your integer 101, name like Sam, and age let's say 45, right? Good. And now
Yeah.
if you print employee one, you notice I'm able to print object, but in yesterday class is that I'm getting output like this, right?
Right.
This is
Right.
some high school because we are not overridden here two string method, right? In this class there is no two string method, right? So due to that, but I have another method like get ID, get name, and set name, right? Get age, right? So I can use the getter method. So here I can say let's employee one dot get ID, right? Plus uh, employee one dot get name, right?
Mhm.
Plus employee one dot get age, right? In this way, you can get misreading the method. This is the employee one, your. So if you notice, we are able to create employee object with ID, name, age, right?
Right.
But here, someone, let's now someone going to change dot set and change the age set 0, right? Then what happen? Your employee age can be 0. Any employee can have age 0. That is the
Yes.
problem, right? ID here should be name.
Because now the latest value is 0.
Huh, com age. Just print right here. So, but we have an option by default. Whenever your IntelliJ generate this by default, one employee, one ID, name, same age 0. This is logically weird, right?
Right.
So by default, whenever compiler like IntelliJ generate your setter getter method, they are not apply any condition, right?
Right.
So notice here in a set age, go to the set age. Here no condition, right? Here I can write condition, right? Here can write if your age greater than at least 80, right? And age less than, let's key, 70. This is the valid condition for me, right?
Right.
This condition you have manually write. This condition your IntelliJ don't know, right? So whenever you are providing any setter method, please ensure your validation, right?
Right.
Else someone can change any value. Now you notice here I am going to set age like 0, but now it's not set, right?
Right.
Let someone going to set like age can be, let's can be 999, right? Someone, but still our application have a restriction, they cannot set age. Still you are getting right 45. If I am set between like 18 to 45, 56, this is the come under condition. This is come under condition, right? Range,
Yeah.
it will set, right? So this way you can restrict. Notice 56 range, right? So whenever you are writing class, generally we follow this rule. Class in
Right.
all your field must be or should be private, and one constructor at least what's the input you want, and provide the getter method. And if you want can be someone modified, then you get set method. Surely our case ID cannot be changed, right? So I cannot provide like ID right here. I don't want anyone ID can change. Once employee come in a company and one ID generated, ID never change, right?
Right.
So I cannot provide. If someone going to change the ID here, there is no any option to set ID, right? Let someone say
Yeah.
ki employee one dot set ID. Set ID. There is no such method, right? You have to be carefully decided if you are providing some kind of update option, right?
Right.
So in the case of age, I am okay. Age can be changed, right? Later by later. Name, someone can be modified later part, right?
Right.
Maybe someone change the name, right? But ID really not needed. So I am going for ID only get. Someone can read name, someone can read name. But for modification, I'm only interested age can be changed and name can be changed, right?
Mm.
And even here I want name cannot be blank, at least, right? Name have a some length, right? So I have to apply some condition, right? If name dot length must be greater than like 3 character, right? Name must be greater than 3 character, right? So this condition you have to write. Let's I am going to change the name here. E1 dot set name, and I pass just 2 character like AV, right? Because we have applied condition this will be not set, right? Because our set name say I am only interested if your character length is greater than 3. So your name is still not set, right? And if someone no, now I want to set valid name, it okay. Here say John, right? John is greater than 3, name
That's
can
right.
be changed. So in this way, you have an option now, name change, right? So journal, this is the basic guidelines. Please be carefully whenever you're writing your setter method. Generally avoid, right? But getter method must need it because someone can interested to read the value, right?
Right.
Constructor also needed because these are the private variable. Then how someone going to change set the value, right? So generally, whenever you're writing class that have represent some business entity like here employee or department or any real entity object that have a some attribute field. So these are the field. Just sure this should be private. And how someone get set value using the constructor. And if these are private, how someone can read. So this way they can getter method you can write so that anyone can read the value. Generally
Uh, we
avoid.
don't
Huh.
we don't need this. We don't need it now. It will
Which
work
one?
without this. There is a this here
I'll
again.
just as of
And-
now just this is the one syntax. I'll later part discuss what the meaning by this. Okay, because whenever you
Okay.
generate it from this IntelliJ generate it, right? This is the
Oh,
some
automatic.
standard. Okay,
Okay.
as of now just some okay, whatever the ID we pass with the ID.
Okay.
And later part I discuss if what the meaning of this, right? As
Okay.
you know, whatever the input parameter we pass, I am just setting here, right? Here, private
Right.
variable.
Right. I understand.
So this concept also sometime on a Java is the one feature known as a encapsulation. This
Oh,
feature
this is
known as
called encapsulation.
a encapsulation. Whenever you are writing such class, any model class, any business entity that follow this rule means ki field is a private and we have a constructor and we have a getter method and setter with a specific condition. So this class is the follow rule of the encapsulation.
Encapsulation. Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah,
someone asked,
I heard about this term before.
yes, encapsulation. So what is the theory of encapsulation? Encapsulation say wrapping the data and method into a single unit. Here our data part ID, name, age are wrapping into the one object like employee. Employee. This is the ID, right? This is the name and this is the age. So this is the three data I am just wrap in the object. That is the employee object. But whenever you wrap and mask, I say this is a private, this is a private, this is a private. So outside of the class, how can someone read this ID value, right? So I have option public method like get ID, get name, and get age. So I am writing the getter method. So someone follow this principle. So this object, this class known as a follow the rule of encapsulation. Encapsulation say whenever you are writing any class, just mark all the field as a private and provide the getter setter method, right?
Yeah.
So this is the one oops principle encapsulation.
So encapsulation means you have three private, all the
All
field,
the field should be private and
and
one
then
constructor,
mm,
right? And provide to getter method and
okay, provide.
conditionally your setter method for which really needed you want. My modification generally programming language avoid kind of once object created. Generally, whenever one employee object created, generally the name, address, generally not change, right? Age is conditionally changed each year, right? So age can be calculated from the date of birth, right?
Right.
So generally, whenever we are joining any company, generally we are not asking age, we are asking date of birth, right? So generally,
Yeah, see,
ID, name,
yeah,
date of birth are once employee created that are not changed, right?
right.
So generally, we always preference this should be private. You have a constructor to create object and only getter part. Setter is a very specific need someone really interested, then you provide the setter. Else don't provide.
Right.
If some class follow this rule, then you can say this class is obey the rule of encapsulation. Okay? Okay? Encapsulation. Encapsulation. This is the
Right.
definition. Uh, Process by which data are variable and code upon the method integrated in the signal unit. Simple, right?
Is a Java process by which data variable a
Just say
code.
Wikipedia, and check the standard definition of computer program, encapsulation. Okay? Encapsulation refer binding the data with mechanism or method to operate on the data. Like here, in our case, we have a one employee, right?
Yeah,
One employee, the one employee object. I am data here. Data means our ID, name, age. We are binding in the one unit means the employee class, right? And we are providing a method to get the value, right? The here refer limited direct access to the sum data, right? So encapsulation just like a one feature of object oriented, like a computer. That's only intention whenever someone going to create object, that object look like real, not the fake. Like here we are creating employee object, not like a zero name, length zero, age, right? By default,
right,
compiler allow, but we have to apply some restrictions so that anyone can create the valid, a real object.
right,
The encapsulation just enforce our Java programmer, hey Java programmer, please follow this rule so that your model, your object look like a real. Like
right,
if you are not marking as a private, you are not, so anyone can change anyone value, anyone change the name age, thousand age, right? So this like you created object, but like look like unreal, right?
right,
So whenever we follow the principle of encapsulation, that means we are going to build application as real as human needed, right?
right,
So again, encapsulation as a theory, encapsulation is the process or a method through which we are binding data and a method into the single unit. Why need a method? Because this data, you need a protected data, so you are marked a private. If this private data, the how someone can read them, so they need a method, right? This method can read the private data and return you, right? Here, why need this get method? Because ID field is a private, right? So how someone can get the employee ID? Because this is a private, cannot get employee dot get ID. So you have to write this method. So this method through which this private data member someone can access. So encapsulation theory say we are going to bind the data and method into single unit. Okay. So why need method? Because this method inside the same body, they can access this private member, right? And they can return you
with a get method.
with a get method. Method means get method right here. So here our objective to protect our data. Protect our data. Here data means our age, our name. These are the data. Anyone cannot change any name specific or any age something, right? So
Right,
data protections can be achieved using the encapsulation. The encapsulation, so you create the model object that have kind of a sure look like a real object. Means ki data is the as actual as needed. That means in the data part, you apply some condition. The best condition would be the private, mark private. no one outside can access and change it, right? But no one can change it, but they want to read operation. So okay, I am going to write method, and this method give you the data, because this method is a sit inside the class itself, right? So this
Correct.
method can access the private data member. You cannot directly access. The main method cannot access ID. So main method say, hey method, give me the ID. You go here, take the value and return here, right? So this concept is sometimes data abstractions or basic theory is the encapsulation. You can Google it and understand. So we have first understand the actual implementation, and later we discuss. This is the example of
Uh,
encapsulation.
okay, so sorry, Achib, you said about the protection. What do you mean? Can you explain? The
Again,
private
repeat
integer
question.
and the age. Age is protection. You said protection, something to
Protection
protect.
means ki if I am not writing here private, that means ki anyone can access this age variable, right?
Yes, yes,
So here
yes.
now I created employee object, and here I am directly set employee one dot age variable, right? And here say
Mm,
99999, right?
okay.
So notice your employee created with this age 99999. I am created with this. This is not a look like a fake, right? Not a real.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay,
So I don't want anyone change like this way. So what I say, I am going here. I am say no. This should be protected, right?
okay. I
So
see.
now
Protect.
in the who are going to employee object, now they cannot change this.
Okay.
This is the
Now
protection.
they
So
have to
you cannot.
use get set.
Yeah, you want the get in the set. You are trying to set this. Let's you want to set it. Set I have an option set, but we have a limited condition, right? You
Right,
cannot set this, right? Notice here 999 not set, right? Because you
right,
are passing some data that are really ugly.
right.
So
That's
in
right.
this way, you are providing the option to change age, but not any corrupted data, right?
Right,
So this is the purpose of your protecting data. Here encapsulation means protecting your data. This is our data, ID, name, age. These are the data.
right,
How to protecting? You mark as a private. If you mark as a private, what is the use? How someone can access? How can use them? So you can say, okay, I'm providing the constructor. You can give me value. Let someone give me value. Then how can read this ID variable? Okay, you need a read. So let's I am giving the getter method. You can call the get method. You can read the value, right? So this way, marking data private. So if private, then how someone can get set the value? You can say employee constructor. From here, anyone can give the initial value. Okay, but
right,
I am given the value later, but I want to read. How to read? Because this is a private, I cannot read. Okay, let's get a method. You can read from my method. So this logics, private field, constructor, and getter. Whenever you're writing such class, this class follow the rule of encapsulation. In Java, each and every class cannot encapsulation. Those class follow this rule. You can say the class is the encapsulation.
right,
And the theory, encapsulation is the process where we binding data and method into the single unit so that data can be protected. Here, why needed? This is the data and method single unit so that that can be usable, right? You are binding, protecting data, but data cannot be used. Then what the meaning, right? So this is the method and this is the data. We are binding in the single unit means one class. One class we have put same place. So that
mm,
this method can access this private ID variable, right?
right.
And they return you. So sometimes someone asks you what is the encapsulation. So this is the theory. Encapsulation is the process of you are wrapping the data and method into the single unit so that your object data can be protected. And this is the example, good example of an employee, right?
Yes, it's a very clear example.
Mm. So, and a good part that whenever you editor, they are all just you write these things, and all are the things automatic generated for you, right?
Which one? Sorry.
You
When?
have to just declare variable field, right, and mark as a private.
Yes.
A REST code like constructor, getter, setter, your ID generate. And once we cover the section in coming days, maybe one new concept we'll read about the not a class. This is one concept of the Java as a record. Maybe Java 10 or 11, they have introduced concept. Even if you don't write anything, all the things is avoidable. Only you have to write for any class, just write these things. Let's example. Just for reference, you write just record and mention this is your employee. Let's employee and let's employee or record employee name change the employee record employee object. Okay, employee. And here you just write this variable only this. And here you don't need like access modifier, just ID, comma, don't read this. Later part we discuss more detail. This is the one specific interesting thing. Latest Java version come, and this is the your now this done. This is the sufficient to write a class. They follow the complete rule of encapsulation.
Oh, they follow the complete rule of encapsulation.
This is the simple class. They are so Java already class already developed in initial days, and whenever Java later decided that I'm going to follow the encapsulation definition strictly, they created the new concept as a record. Just now, meaning the your class name and just write field ID, name, age. Now this is completely okay. Now you can create the same object in the main method. Go here,
Oh, mhm.
create the this employee, employee two, new employee, and pass same like here. Whatever the passing ID, let's give 102, 102 your 02 your ID, comma name, Smith, name age maybe age your 34, right?
Right.
And even you write s out just employee, this is the complete employee object created, and they follow the complete rule of encapsulation.
Mm.
So this is the so concise code. Later part we'll discuss. Now this object is properly created.
So
Even I'm
this
not
one
writing any line of
we
code.
gonna discuss later. This one.
Yes, record will be discussed later part, but as of now this is the way also. So
Okay.
this is also employee class, but they have only need write a one line of code. Just right here.
Right. Okay.
Okay, formatting is something, right? So this is the one more way to write a class Java that follow the restrict rule of encapsulation. Just this is the one liner syntax. Notice look like this. This is the look like this is this. Look like this is the constructor. Here look the employee
Right.
ID name age open close curly braces. Similarly here class name ID name age and open close.
Right.
So look like constructor. Rest all the code. This code is compiler automatic generated for you. So this is the concise code to create Java object. Just mention the ID name age just and uh, all the things like constructor, getter method, and your toString method, all are by default implemented here. So just FYI, there are also Java have an option to create the different types of class known as a record.
Right.
But as of now, we are going to first read all the rules and regulation of class. Later part will cover this record, right? Record the latest Java development. Maybe I think Java 8 or 9, after 9. In 19, yeah, Java 10 have this concept record, right?
Oh, okay. That's called record.
Hmm. But we should aware key in the for encapsulation, you can create Java class by yourself, right? Writing register Java class, writing your field, writing constructor, and writing the getter method and writing a setter method, right? This is the one standard way. But later part Java decided ki heavily used by this encapsulation person. They created a new concept. Now you can create this one liner, right?
But this line of code,
Hmm.
record,
Is the same of same like all these.
so that creates a class or that
Yeah, this is
creates
the
a.
class. This is the class. And
Hmm,
notice here we have created the object as well, right? What is here? Of class O equal to object, right? And same as a passing, same like here. Look like here, and look like here, right?
right.
So this is the standard way nowadays creating the object. Generally, Java designer always enforce if someone really want to encapsulation, please refer record instead of class, right?
Right, right,
Just FYI, okay, this is this class means this record completely follow the rule of encapsulation.
right.
This class is follow the rule of encapsulation, but one violation here setter method. We are passing the setter method, right? You can
Right.
change the value something, right? But both are say encapsulation. Here, as per the definition, say key wrapping the data and method. This is the data and this is the method. Look like here definition match. But here there is
Right,
no look like a only data this, but there is no method. This method is written by internally Java compiler, right? For you.
right.
Here, in the main method, here you can might be create this, or you can say employee dot id. This is a get method already you have, right?
Right.
Plus similarly you can write here. So all method already available here. ID you can write a ID only. Okay, sorry. This is the employee two. This is employee two. So method names little bit different, like only direct age method, right? Direct here name method. This is the major difference name, and this is your ID. So by
So
default,
it
these
doesn't have
methods.
get age,
Hmm.
get and set.
Uh,
You don't need that.
this
Get.
no, this class is not no method, right? No, this class no any specific method, right? No get, no set, right?
Mm,
So by default, whatever the field name, same name as a method, Java designer give you. And now we have a method to get the value, independent value. You want to ID, just the
oh, okay,
ID.
okay. I see.
Want
I
to name,
see.
just set name like here.
Okay, so that returns the value.
Right, that return the value. This is a read operation. Read operation.
I see. I see. Yeah.
So these are the two generally way where you can create the encapsulation object. One using the normal class, another using the record class.
Right.
Record class just assume nothing, just like constructor. Notice the in a existing whatever the constructor you're writing, same is here. Nothing difference.
Right.
Record is just like a constructor, right? Notice here
Right.
employee class name, then ID, name, age, and open close curly brace, right?
Yeah.
So this is the concise code, and surely this record is need one more class. I'll discuss once we complete the class part. The first our objective we have to understand rules in all the regulation of classes, right?
Right.
So is it okay? Any doubt and confusion with respect to encapsulation? Today we that means ki today we learn about the encapsulation.
Right.
How theory and encapsulation means wrapping the data and method into the single unit, right?
Right. It's a. Uh,
Right.
I understand now.
Yeah. So same you can look the definition Wikipedia encapsulation and understand the meaning. Same we implemented, right?
Right.
And read
Right.
out the. This is like notice the example like mentioned here the maybe
So
the
it has an example too here.
yeah. Like here, same example, like you mentioned here, employee salary, whatever the things. So in wiki already, logical definition, what is the encapsulation, right?
Right.
Finding the data and method into the single unit, right?
Right.
Okay. So I think you have any question?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. So let's continue to do exercise, and we have to,
Sure.
for next classes, we have to meet to again still continue about the learning the class, right?
Sure.